What is going on, everybody? It's Liv here, bringing you guys our BBL Season 7 draft analysis for the Rotom OnlyFans. That is right, we're the Rotom OnlyFans this season. I felt like being funny. I don't know if it worked, but I felt like it, so we're gonna do it. Also, the logo, like, unironically works a lot better with the BBL color scheme. And I had the logo already made from, like, a team tour that never ended up happening over the summer. And I paid Josh for it, so it's like, really just wanted to use the logo, to be honest, because I don't use it enough. I used it in our PMU run that I didn't end up finishing because it wasn't upload required, and I stopped really live recording my games week 5, which sucks because I 5-0'd Leo like in that game, so I kind of wish I recorded it. And then there was a couple other wins, but I was so done with the season. Nothing on anyone running the league. I just did not care about playing Gen 7. But we're here with BBL though, which I care a lot more about. BBL is quite literally, by far my favorite league that I play, like, ever. Partially, I guess, because I run it, so, not to toot my own horn or anything, but I do enjoy it, otherwise I wouldn't keep running it. I will say, though, I have to give a massive shout out to Kurt, for egging me on for the past couple months to bring back BBL Wifi, and then also for Mid for not bringing back BBR, to give me a reason to bring back BBL. So we were able to fill a roster pretty easily. A lot easier than I thought, and a lot easier than Kurt even thought. Kurt will tell you that to be fair, like, oh, we got a roster. No, I don't know what you were worried about, but Kurt also didn't think we were gonna get a roster that as quick as we did. I think we got one in like about 2 days, to put it in perspective, which if you're not a Wi-Fi player, it's gonna seem like it took a while, but like it's pretty quick in terms of like trying to find people to fill up a Wi-Fi league. We found 15 of our coaches in like a day, and then the last person we were waiting to confirm for like a couple days later. So it definitely was pretty quick, to say the least, especially when I didn't think we'd get anyone. But we're here though, and yeah, we're gonna go over our draft analysis. So hopefully you guys enjoy. If you do, leave a like below, subscribe if you're new. Click on the links below. We have links to things such as the front office. Front office link I felt like it was very important to mention because we have several leagues going on right now. So if you want to help out, including with mocks, join there. If you want to just get updates on videos and streams, join there. We'll have the BBL links down below, so join there. So that way then you can get notifications on everyone else's battles and keep up with the Showdown divisions too. We have 3 Showdown divisions. I feel like not enough people know about that, but we have 3 of them, and they're doing pretty solid. They're pretty fun. I'm also doing that draft analysis will go up Wednesday. So when you see a second BBL draft analysis, no, I'm not playing in no, this is not a re-upload. It's just a second draft analysis for BBL. So keep that in mind as well. With that said though, into the draft analysis we go. We were pick number 16, which I'll be honest, we actually got 2 very late picks in both divisions. I'm doing both Wi-Fi and Showdown. I really couldn't choose which one I'd rather do. So we're doing both. I got 13th in Showdown in the RC's division, and I got 16th in Wi-Fi. So in Wi-Fi, I was a bit upset, to say the least. I really wanted an early pick. I really wanted to get Marshadow. I finally wanted it. I was like, you know what? I've lost 6 seasons of Wi-Fi now. I need to fucking win my own league. So it was very sad when we got 16th. However, with a little bit of convincing, and I won't lie, I did a bit of a puppeteering in this draft, to say the least, especially with this first pick. I was able to convince a couple people out of not getting 2 different Pokemon that I wanted, and I happened to get both of them, so I'll definitely take that. So we obviously drafted these in cores, so the pick order doesn't really matter for every 2 picks. So keep that in mind going through. There are a few that definitely will seem like they were out of order, but they're really not because it was in pairs. So with that said, we had 16th pick overall, and I decided that I thought the personal best way to go about this was to just get a really solid 20-21 point Uber pair. And there was a specific Uber that I was kind of eyeing in the 20 point section that is my second pick. Well, technically it's my second pick. And I felt like, if this 21 point Uber did make it to me, I would get it. There was 2 I was considering. The first one was Giratina. I thought Giratina was really solid, and I've wanted to actually use it since Blue used it in BBL Season 1. Now to be fair, Blue used Giratina Origin, but I still kind of wanted to use regular Giratina. I thought it could be pretty cool. However, there was another Pokemon that kind of called out to me a little bit more that I kind of had to get. I have not used Pokemon since BBL Season 2, and it has changed significantly since then. After this season as well, by the way, we're doing all of our nicknames after this one Yuri anime I'm watching, called I've Been Killing Slimes for 300 Years. So please welcome Beelzebub, our Dawnwing's Necrozma. So Dawnwing's Necrozma what does Dawnwings offer to this draft? Well, it offers a few things. For one, Dawnwings is a phenomenal Pokemon. I don't know why people have this misconception that Dawnwings isn't a broken Pokemon, but it's ridiculous. Think of Necrozma, but with a lot bulkier stats, and it gets Moongeist Beam as a stab as well. It's pretty dumb, and when I say Moongeist Beam as a stab, no, I don't just mean it's a ghost type. It legitimately just gets Moongeist Beam, because it's the only move it transfers over from Lunala's moveset. Now, sadly, unlike Lunala, it does not get Focus Blast, Ice Beam, etc., so it does miss out on a lot of that really, really dumb coverage. However, that is not to say this is a bad Pokemon by any means. It was a 21-point Uber, which meant we were able to get a 20-point Uber in tandem with it, which already is pretty solid in my opinion. And then you pair that with the fact that Dawnwings can actually be pretty versatile. 113 attack, 157 special, and this gets not only Autotomized, but it gets stuff like Calm Mind and even Dragon Dance this generation, which is really, really solid for this Pokemon. You also get a SD too, to be fair, but it's a bit hard to run a SD without going Dual Dance. Like, at least Calm Mind does boost the special defense, and at the very least, Dragon Dance will boost the speed. But both are really, really dumb options in this Pokemon, to be fair. This is an absolutely menacing offensive Pokemon, in my opinion. One of the better special breakers in my eyes as well, because of the fact of the Psychic Ghost typing just being so threatening. Sadly, it is pretty walled out by Dark types, and sadly, it does not get Focus Blast, as mentioned, nor Aura Sphere, or even Moonblast, like Lunala does. However, it still does get Brick Break and X-Scissor, so if I want to run a physical or mix set, that is an option. Or again, I could just draft a Dark counter. People seem to think that just because this is 4 times weak to Ghost and Dark, that it's suddenly a bad Pokemon. It's not. It has Prism Armor. It's actually really, really fucking thick. Especially if you just throw on a berry. This can definitely lure out certain Darks, especially Ghosts. To an extent Darks, but especially Ghosts. Or even just fighting types you might want to carry on like a knockoff or something. Like, it can definitely do a lot, in my opinion. And it's really, really sad to see that people just don't give this enough credit. So I'm here to prove that why this deserves enough credit this season. I feel like when I picked it up midway through Season 2, that I did a pretty okay job with it. I'm not going to act like I used it perfectly, but I also sucked back then. So that's definitely a difference. Not to say that I'm good now, but I sucked back then. So I feel like I could definitely use this model a lot more capably. It kind of carried my back end of my season in Season 2, so who knows what it's going to do this season. It's only 8 weeks, but I have a lot of faith in this Pokemon, especially eyeing up my schedule. A lot of people just really hate switching out this Pokemon, so I'm looking forward to it. Next up, we have pick number 2. As I mentioned, there was a specific mon I wanted to really, really get if I got Dawnwings, and that ended up being my 20-point Pokemon, Fatla, our Dialga. Now, Dialga is a Pokemon that I've actually really wanted to use again since like BBL Season 1. Really, really cool typing of Dragon and Steel, and I think what really sparked it this gen wasn't really any moveset buffs it got, but it was just seeing Slick use it and use it really, really well. Obviously, Matt used it really well Season 2, but I think Slick using it Season 4 in Showdown with Mega Blastoise really, really drove home that I really want to use this. So I thought about it Season 5, then I got Lunala, then I thought about it Season 6, and I got Zygarde Complete. But now Season 7 came around, and I had a really good excuse to pick it. There was no putting it off. This was the season I'm going to use Dialga, and I think I'm going to use it well. Dialga offers me a solid Trick Room setter if I don't want to throw it on Dawnwings. It's another Trick Room mon, actually, to be fair. Really cool typing of Steel and Dragon, and not only that, but I think one of the best parts about Dialga is just the fact that it's a Steel type, and I have a really, really solid Fighting Sponge for it, just lying around in Dawnwings. So that already is really helpful. Not only that, but Dialga has phenomenal coverage on the special side, and even to an extent the physical side, but mostly the special side. Also, obviously, Body Press just being a thing on this Pokemon this gen. Body Press is such a dumb move, and especially if you throw that in tandem with stuff like Iron Defense, for example. This is a really nice defensive tank. It's a cool Rock Setter, it's a cool status mod. It's just really good utility, in my opinion. So for 20 points, I felt like this was worth it personally. The offensive typing makes it also neutral to dragons, which is really good, because while it is not a fairy resist anymore, at the same time though, half the really good Pokemon are dragons. So why not just have a dragon that's not going to get super effectively hit by a Draco Meteor? So that was pretty useful. So yeah, Dialga's really solid 90 speed tier, ties a lot of other box types. So at the very least, we could just run max speed or force them to run max speed, which is really helpful as well, because they'll be forced to run 252 Jolly, and I will make sure that they respect that. Maybe not every week, but I will make sure that certain weeks they respect that. With that said though, on to Wheel Core number 2, aka 3 and 4 picks. So 3 and 4 picks, it's kind of funny, I guess, that these were my 3 and 4 picks because I nicknamed them in tandem with each other. So yeah, first up we have pick number 3 being Rillaboom Shalsha. Rillaboom is another Pokemon I've wanted to use for a while now, and I'm really glad that I finally got to get it. And I think that Rillaboom actually pairs phenomenal here. Rillaboom is a really solid pivot to bring in Dawnwings and Dialga, which already is really nice. It's also just being able to have priority glide. As I was talking with Zazo about this a few months back, and I think it really resonated with his points when he said that Rillaboom was literally the most anti-cheese Pokemon you could imagine. Being able to glide, it can stop any sort of shenaniganry such as Trick Room, Tailwind, Sticky Webs, Thunder Wave, etc. Because you'll always just still have your priority. It's still terrain boosted. It's still a really good stab option too. So it is just, and I do kind of agree with that. I think to an extent that I agree with that point pretty heavily. Because you can just throw on a Choice Band on this Pokemon and it will definitely do a lot of damage. Even in this sort of format where a lot of the good Pokemon will resist, you can still do a lot with Rillaboom. It's phenomenal ground switching for one, which is really appreciated with Dialga. Not only that, but it's passive recovery on Dawnwings and also Dialga, which Dawnwings gets recovery, but Dialga does not. So that's also really nice. Again, I mentioned the pivot. It's a really good physical breaker, which I currently lack. While Dialga and Dawnwings can run physical options, they both have the physical attack set to definitely accommodate for doing such a thing. Rillaboom was my first physical breaker on the team, so that is definitely pretty helpful as well. And especially for a physical breaker, it has a really good speed tier at base 85. A lot of people definitely run just bulk into Rillaboom and just spam glide, but this thing does have a pretty good speed tier to run things like Wood Hammer, for example. So it is definitely nice in that regard too. Grassy Surge, just really good ability. Will force teams to definitely run things like Tantrum, for example, which in my opinion is pretty helpful, just forcing them to not get as strong of a ground option for Dialga, which I think will be pretty helpful personally. So with that said, we get into the other pair for this core. We got another terrain setter, and the other twin in the Shalsha core, Fafla. Not to be confused with Fatla, this is Fafla, a little slime girl. Fatla was the whale dragon. So yeah, we have Fafla here. Our top Finny, another terrain setter, and this one offers something a bit different to the team. While you might think to yourself, why did I draft Misty Terrain with Dialga? I would like to pose the question of, while it may weaken Dragon Stab, what is my steel not resistant here right now? And that is Dragon. I don't have a Dragon resist right now, so having the terrain to help with that, I felt like was pretty helpful personally. Dialga doesn't really need to always be clicking Dragon moves. Flash Cannon, Flamethrower, Earth Power, etc. are strong enough options, and most of the dragons do have some other weakness that I can exploit. For example, let's take Rayquaza for example. Dialga has Power Gem for that. It has Ice Beam, so in fact, Ice Beam will be a common thing that I can just click against a lot of dragons, to be fair. But you know, let's say we're not going to click Ice Beam. You know, let's say we're taking on Palkia. Palkia is the dragon of choice. What am I going to click against Palkia? You know, I have Misty Terrain. It's going to weaken my dragon attacks. There's obviously no real super effective attack that Dialga gets otherwise. Still have options that will hit it neutrally. A lot of my moveset will hit it neutrally. And also, Finny is just a really good check to that as well if I need to. So, wasn't really too concerned about weakening my dragon attacks, but I did want to acknowledge it because I thought it was a fair point when Matt actually brought it up in the draft analysis stream. But I definitely feel like that the fact that my steel is neutral was a pretty important reason to take Finny here. Not only that, but Finny's a really good defog option. Didn't really have a defogger beforehand, so this was definitely pretty nice to just get that removal. While I don't personally click removal all the time, it's nice to have it. Finny's another Pokemon that while I definitely have used it in the past, I really wanted to try it this gen because I feel like it just got objectively a lot better. Got a lot of really nice move pull buffs. For example, I believe it got Draining Kiss this generation, which I believe was new. And correct me if I'm wrong, I feel like I may very well be wrong. But even still got, I know for a fact that it did get move pool buffs. I'm just kind of spacing on them specifically. But I've seen a lot of people use it pretty well recently, such as Shuckle King. And I kind of did want to just try it. And I felt like, if anything, this was the setting for it. Because in terms of Premier Fairies, unless you're getting like a Xerneas or Magearna, Finny and Sylveon, in my opinion, are like the best two. I'm really not huge on Clef. I don't care what anyone says. I think Clef is garbage here. In Uber specifically, I think it's garbage. I want to point that out. In Uber specifically, I think it is garbage because it just doesn't take on any of the hits you need because of just the extreme bulk stat that everything has. And, well, the extreme offensive stat, I should say, that everything has. So because of that, I think that Finny just becomes more viable in that regard. So I did think that if I was to ever try it again this generation, that this would be the time. And I felt like this team definitely supported it. On to pair 5 and 6. I was a bit worried about getting these picks, and I will say, more so worried that these picks would get back to me. And I will also say that I was looking forward to using Nidoqueen here, so I do want to definitely preface that when we get into round 6. Nidoqueen was the ideal point here, and I felt like I would mostly just be for the poison immunity to start building our lower speed tiers down, so it definitely did fit, also for terrain, also not to weaken my ground options. Sadly though, both Nidos went, so it was very unfortunate. However, the cores that we did get, I think that they actually help our team a lot personally, even with, well, definitely hurting a bit. First up, we have Mienshao, which is going to be, we're going to have Rosalie for Mienshao. Mienshao is a really solid option here as a strong fighting type, nice dark killer, for example. We have the 105 speed, so it is our first really fast Pokemon. Everything right now clumped between 79 and 77 and 90, which really isn't that good speed diversity. However, Mienshao is definitely a really, really strong option as just a fast Pokemon. Fighting typing is really, really solid here, especially when a lot of teams are going to typically be bringing normals, darks, etc. for Donwings checks. So I feel like that was pretty important. It's another momentum option, which is great to, again, bring in the Donwings, bring the Dialga, or even just pivot into Finny really easily, because this is a faster momentum option as well. So that is definitely really nice. Mienshao as well has two really good abilities, being Regenerator and Reckless, both of which are really good for offensive, defensive purposes respectively. And even Inner Focus isn't horrible. I'm pretty sure that Inner Focus is immune to Intimidate this generation, if I remember correctly. I'm almost certain. Yep, it is immune to Intimidate this generation. I forgot if it was Inner Focus or not. I know there's two abilities that got it. I just forgot which two they were. Regardless though, Mienshao definitely has a lot going for it. I feel like another thing as well is that people definitely forget that Mienshao has a respectable special stat. So this is definitely a nice mixed offensive Pokemon in my eyes. While it is definitely a lot more physically based, there are certain variations such as Calm Mind that can definitely do a lot of damage in certain matchups, especially if your opponent is prepping a physical check to this. So in my opinion, this is still definitely a really good Pokemon. It's a really diverse Pokemon. I've seen a few people definitely like run house in the past in Gen 7 with special sets, so I do definitely think it can still provide that to our draft. And I think it's, as I said, I think it's just a lot better than people give it credit for. We'll also have to see though. Personally, I do look forward to using this Pokemon a lot. With that said, our pick 6 on this team was Crocodile, which is going to be Flator. Now, Crocodile is definitely not my first choice at ground. I actually, for a Dark type, I really wanted T-Tar in this team, I'll be completely honest. Wanted to get the Donwings T-Tar core back together, but sadly that did not happen because I really could not find a better ground type that I really liked in this draft. So I went with Crook. As I said, both Nidos went, so it was very unfortunate. However, Crook does provide a bit for this team. For one, it's a nice offensive Dark. Sadly, no Pursuit this generation, but it's really not a huge deal. Not only that, but it's a base 92 Pokemon, which is great because Dialga is around 90, and I don't know how often I'm going to want to run speed, whereas this can just barely creep all those 90 box arts that are going to tie with Dialga, which is really nice, to be honest. Not only that, but Crook being a nice Intimidate Pokemon really helps, taking on the very few physical Ubers that would be in the board, such as Groudon or Zekrom and stuff like that. So I definitely do put a lot of stock in this Pokemon defensively as well. Another rock option, which is great because right now our only rock options were Ubers being Dialga and Donwings, so I wasn't really feeling that either. But I do definitely like this Pokemon a lot. It definitely has like a really solid typing, both offensively and defensively, as I mentioned. It rounds out a lot of things that our team was struggling with a bit right now, such as Electric type, for example, which, while we had 2 resistances, Electric types did just get free momentum on our team now. Well, at the time, so now they no longer do. So I do definitely think this did offer a lot. It also offered a lot in terms of specific matchup. As I mentioned, the Zekrom matchup was definitely a bit annoying right now. But this helps a lot with that. So I do like this pick a lot still, even though we do have terrain. I don't always need grassy terrain up. I don't even need to bring Rillaboom. So I do definitely think that there isn't going to necessarily be as big of a deal as there would have been for Crook. So I look forward to this. Now, on to pick 7. Pick 7 and 8. I really wanted Thundee Eye or Moltres. Those were the 2 mods I really wanted here. Thunderous Eye because it was the over 110 option I really wanted in this draft. And Moltres because I felt like there's a really good fire flying type here to patch a lot of weaknesses. Sadly though, both actually went on the round 7 wheel. I believe Q got Moltres this round, and then followed by Jorge 2 picks later getting Thundee Eye. So this is very, very unfortunate set of picks, to say the least. On to our pick 7 though, we actually got ourselves a Pokemon that I have also been wanting to try for a while. Matt O'Shea will take credit for this, but I promise you it's just the fact that I just wanted to use it this generation. We got regular Charizard, which will be Laika. Now, Laika was the whole reason I actually went for this core, to be honest. Between that and my round 9 pick, I already knew what round 9 pick I was going to get by this point in the draft, so I was like, okay, you know what, I kind of have to go with the whole nickname theme now. So we have Laika here, though. Our Charizard. Now, Charizard offers a lot, in my opinion, for the draft. It's another removal option for 1, which right now we only did have Tapu Fini, so I felt like that was pretty useful. Not only that, but it's a ground immunity, which, while it is definitely still going to get massacred by rock options, it is still a ground immunity nonetheless. Which is great because when pairing that with Rillaboom, which is a much better ground switch-in, we definitely at least have some countermeasures for ground types. While Charizard isn't going to be the premier option, it is an option. It's just not a great one. But Charizard is still really good here. It's base 100. Fire Flying offensively is a pretty good typing. As I mentioned, the defog support, but really I think that the biggest thing that Charizard provided was just another Steel Killer. While we do have Crocodile and Mienshao on the team, they definitely don't necessarily want to always be the offensive Pokemon, whereas Charizard is just another option that could be offensive, and it's a really dedicated special one too. So that was definitely really important for me, in my opinion, just getting another steel killer. And also it's an offensive ice killer too, because if you look at our team, our steel is neutral right now. And then for resists, we really just have Finny right now. Obviously, Manchai will offensively handle ice types, but Charizard is just another good offensive option for ices. So I felt like that was pretty nice as well, in my opinion. So yeah, I do like Charizard here. Looking forward to using it. Spoilers, I actually have already put Charizard on my week 1 team, and I really hope that it will do well. On to our pick 8 here. Since I no longer was able to get Thunderous Eye, I settled for this Pokemon. And by settled, I mean, I don't know how it actually got to me. We got ourselves Pekora, our Raikou. So Raikou is a really, really good electric type this generation, in my opinion, because it's one of the few electrics that can really, really handily just handle, like, offensively damage ground types, I should say. Being able to quick Scald against any sort of oncoming ground type is really nice, because not only can you just hit it for super effective, but you can also fish for a burn, which is nice because a lot of ground options are physical, especially with the fact that Raikou is a Calm Mind option as well. That is definitely really helpful in just helping it live a lot of hits that it otherwise would no longer be able to. Pressure is phenomenal. It's just a really good ability defensively speaking. You're able to stall a lot of teams with it. So that plus Dialga are 2 really solid just pressure mons that can definitely stall through teams if necessary. Raikou being a solid fast pivot for our team as well into something like a Dialga, a Finny, etc. is really helpful. It's a really good flying killer, which is great because right now I had a really good flying position in Dialga, didn't really have like a really good offensive just nuke to flying types. It's really important as well. I feel like Raikou just offered a lot to our draft. It's also another water killer. Like, it just patched a lot of holes. I feel like it's pretty obvious to see how it patches holes. People were saying that I'm going to use this thing defensively in the draft stream as well. And to that I will say, and? Like, I mean, Suicune does it well. I've done it with Entei before. Why wouldn't I do it with Raikou? Like, are you kidding me? This is a great stall option if I want to. It just is. It's objectively speaking a fun stall option. So I really don't see any issue with that personally. I think this is 100% gonna be a fire option. If it was Gen 7, I'd be doing it every week, but it is not, so sadly, I can't do it every week. But I will try and do it a couple weeks. I feel like it just, objectively speaking, will definitely have a couple good matchups in terms of going for stall. With that said, though, we're on to our final wheel here. Now, if you look at our draft, you can notice that we're missing a few things. We're missing a really, really good normal type, which is important, especially with a 4x weak to ghost option. And we're missing a kind of poison. We could definitely get another ice resist as well, but that's sort of secondary in my mind. I wanted those other 2 things first, though, because while we do have T-Spikes, I really want to grounded poison for Finny specifically. I felt like that would be really important. Not only that, but we have Kang, obviously, we have a normal type role to fill, which, I mean, I already said the Pokemon, but we got Kang. Kang was 4 points. This is obviously still the Kang. This plus Charizard were actually the reasons I decided the nickname theme. This Kang took way too long to fucking sprite, so I fucking hate Kang, but I think it came out, like, decent for the sprite map. I'll probably bring it to a couple games, but I genuinely think Kang was a solid 4-point normal type. It's a really good cleric. Scrappy is obviously really nice for offensive ghosts that may not necessarily want to just switch it on a normal type stab double edge. Kang isn't the best Pokemon by any means, but for 4 points, it was really good, and I needed the 10 points for my other option that I was looking for that fit my team way too well to just not get it. So we did go with Kangaskhan. I actually really think that this is a really good pick on our team personally. I think it just sort of squeezes itself in just perfectly for everything we need it for. It's a cool wish Pokemon too, which is great because that's going to be really appreciated by things like Dialga and Finny. So I am definitely looking forward to this pick on our team. As I said, it's not going to be a team carry, but it is a really good fit here in my opinion. On to our final Pokemon on the team. This is the Pokemon I think really ties my team together. I agree 100% with Matt and Kurt when they mentioned this in the draft stream, but I genuinely do think this pick like really made my team go from decent to, I would argue, one of the best teams. Now, they didn't go to that degree, to be fair, but I am. I feel confident in the team, specifically because of this pick, which may seem weird for a 10th pick, but I do think it really sells the whole team. On to our pick 10, we have Tentacruel, which is going to be Halkara, which is the last main character in Slimes. You know, I kind of had to. But it's still fit, you know, like alcoholic and, you know, poison type. It fits. So we have Tentacruel here, though. Tentacruel is a really solid option. You know, base 100 speed is pretty solid on this Pokemon, especially for just a good spin option. The water typing gave me another Ice Resist. The poison typing gave me a T-Spike immunity, which will be helpful for Donald's and Finny specifically, but just in general for my draft. Especially so that way the Finny doesn't need to take T-Spikes on entering before it's at terrain, which is really important. Tentacruel also, on top of this, was just a really, really good spinner, as I mentioned. So even if I want to clear like regular spikes or rocks, Tentacruel can still do that. It gets utility for things like knockoff. Acid Sprays are really cool if I want to just come in and nuke something with Donwings or Dialga, especially a bulkier special offensive Pokemon. So I do think this offers a lot to our draft. It's also just got other utility as well, such as Haze, so this definitely isn't a Pokemon to be slept on just because it was my 10th pick. I know not a lot of people draft Tentacruel, and I'll be completely honest, I don't know why. I think it's actually a really good Pokemon, but I am looking forward to using it. I think it does offer a lot to our draft, especially in a format where keeping your hazards up is a lot more important in my opinion than, like, let's say in its standard draft, where it's not the most important thing to keep hazards up because of things like boots, but when a lot of the box arts, you're either going to A, force boots onto and it's going to hurt their damage output or recovery significantly, or B, they're not going to have boots and you're wearing down your opponent's biggest threat, which is a lot scarier of a threat typically than it would be in a standard draft. Like, let's say, for example, the comparison between a Marshadow and a Dragapult. It's a pretty big difference in Pokemon. I would much rather have hazards for a Marshadow than I would a Dragapult, even in format comparison. So it's obviously really nice to have a Rapid Spinner on the team for that, just to get any sort of chip possible. So I do really like that on this draft. I wouldn't necessarily care too much of his standard, but I do think it was very important for Ubers. That's just my personal philosophy. Feel free to disagree. I'm more than happy to just agree to disagree on that. But I do feel like it was very important here. It's also a T-Spike setter, which is great because it's passive poison in between train turns, which is very good in my opinion. So yeah, I felt like my team was pretty good. I think Tentacruel truthfully does tie it really well together in my opinion. I pretty much settled on Tentacruel at the very bare minimum since round 7. Like right after I got Crook, I was like, okay, you know what? I'm gonna get Tentacruel next pick, and I realized that no one was really gonna get it, which is why I waited until round 10. But with that said, that is the Rotom OnlyFans draft for this season of the BBL. Hopefully you guys did enjoy. If you did, leave a like below, subscribe if you're new. Let me know your thoughts on the team down below. We're one of the later draft analysis going up, so let me know what you think in comparison, or if you just saw the draft stream, let me know what you think in comparison. But with that said, it's been Liv, and I'll see you guys later. Peace out, guys.